I think most people that I've talked to and I've seen talk about Rings of Power on the internet have said that, yeah, it was off to a rough start. The goals weren't exactly clear. Some characters were bordering on unlikable. And yeah, the writing was a bit, let's just say, lacking. But episode 4 was, I'm going to say it was an improvement for me. So let's talk about it. I'm not going to do a play by play or anything like that of the episode, but just I am going to be talking about what happens in the episode. So if you haven't seen it, that's your fair warning. I am going to be talking spoilers. I did enjoy the episode quite a bit. So yeah, you should totally give it a shot. But yeah, and I will also be talking probably some spoilers from the previous episodes as well. But I don't really know why you'd be watching a review of the 4th episode in the series if you hadn't seen those already. Let's just get on with it. Is it wrong that I was glad that there were no Harfoots in the episode? It's my least favorite little, I guess, story thread right now. So I was glad not to see them. But we do see the other ones. So we get some Numenor, we get some Khazad-dûm, and we get some wherever Arondir is, or Arondir. I'm not sure how to say his name actually. But anyway, here's the thing. In this episode, every single perspective was great. I really enjoyed it. They worked for me. And I'm not sure if it's because I'm just getting comfortable with the characters, if I'm getting comfortable with the way that the show is flowing, but look, high praise for this episode. I think it was really well done. Now let's talk about Arondir, whatever. First, he gets to meet this Adar, and this is really getting interesting. What I found very intriguing was sort of this almost godlike appearance and the way that the orcs like revere him. It was kind of neat to see, and the way that he goes up to this wounded orc and the he basically puts him out of his misery and all that stuff, almost with like tenderness. I thought that was really. I mean, something's going on here with this guy. Now, Adar lets Arondir go with this message, basically saying that Bronwyn and her fellow survivors will live if they swear fealty to him. And I mean, sure, okay. But there's a really cool sequence where Theo gets into some trouble with orcs, and Arondir, I keep saying it did like totally different ways, aren't I? Anyway, he catches this arrow and shoots it back at him. I just thought that was really cool, and I don't know, I liked it. And also, I must mention that he was on Jimmy Kimmel. Ismael Cruz Cordova was on Jimmy Kimmel, and I like the guy. I like the guy a lot. So it's almost unfair to the show because now it's because I like him that I like his character. I don't know. Maybe that's a problem. That I actually like the actor now. But anyway, Theo with his run-in with the orcs and the sword and all that kind of thing, and it marks him as, I guess, like a thrall of Sauron or something like that. I'm not sure what's going on there. I have to say it's interesting, but it's just not. It doesn't have the same like, oh man, that was so cool. I can't wait to see what happens. I'm interested to see what happens, but I'm not like, you know what I mean? Now back to Khazad-dûm. I have to say, Disa is probably my favorite character in the whole show. There's just something about the way that she carries herself. She's so confident, and this character, you know what I mean? It's just like there's no bones to pick here. She's great, and her relationship with Prince Durin is endearing, and it's sweet, and it's just really well done. Some exchanges between Elrond and Prince Durin are really great here, and especially there's one where Prince Durin is talking about his father, the king, and Elrond tells a story of his own father, Eärendil, and I ate this up. I totally ate it up. For a huge Tolkien nerd like me, I loved hearing this being said and this knowledge being dropped. I love it. And what I'm really appreciating is that it wasn't like, oh, here's some fan service for you. No, It made sense in the story and it drove the story forward. It was something that like you're learning as you go. I almost feel like the creators here, the showrunners are really learning their way and they're getting better as they go along. I could be completely wrong, but I'm really enjoying what they're doing so far. And then a scene with the prince and the king. I really enjoyed this whole scene as well. And I like that Peter Mullen is playing King Durin. Like I didn't recognize him, but his voice is very distinct. And yeah, you can see who he is now, and you're like, oh yeah, of course. I mean, he's been in Westworld, he was in Train Spotting. It's the first time I ever saw him. I like this guy, so it's cool to see him in here. Now on Numenor, the show actually starts off with the Queen Regent having a vision of the destruction of Numenor, and I was like, whoa, wait a minute. Why is this happening now? I don't understand. And then you see that it's a vision. I was really thrown off balance with that, and I thought that was pretty well done actually. Um, but basically, the Galadriel is telling the Queen Regent that they should unite. You know, the elves and the men of Numenor should unite and help the men of the South. And the Queen Regent rejects her, and Galadriel gets thrown in jail. And I love the fact that Halbrand is calling Galadriel out on her crap. Like, hey, you know better than this. What are you doing here? I just really like that the characters are aware of the issues that I've been having with Galadriel, well, since the beginning, actually. Throughout the episode, you realize that the Queen Regent is aware that in order to save Numenor, they have to ally themselves with the elves. And that's really cool. I mean, the king, is ill, but he saw this whole thing in the Palantir, and the people were rejecting it, and you can see that the people they don't like the elves. But I like the way that this was presented. And then at the end, the Queen Regent comes out and says, "Yes, I'm going to escort Galadriel back to Middle Earth, and we're going to fight alongside the elves." And all. It was really well done. Now, if you'll allow me, I'd like to think about what's going to happen in the future. So my thinking is that the Queen Regent, Galadriel, Halbrand, Elendil, Isildur, they go to Middle Earth, right? And they're doing that. But while they're gone, something happens with Al-Farazon, and he might be tempted to do some unthinkable things in their absence, which may lead to that destruction of Numenor. That's the whole thing, right? I'm really interested in seeing how that's going to play out. Even his little speech toward the beginning of the episode, kind of this anti-elf speech with the people, it's shaping up to be like this interesting thing, and I'm actually digging it. So, episode 4, Rings of Power, is in the books. I'm kind of curious. I'm curious what other people are thinking at this point. I mean, I really enjoyed this one. To me, it's just been like this upward trajectory. I mean, every episode has just been better and better. So, I'm. Do I like Rings of Power now? Maybe. I mean, that's definitely a thing. So, I'd love to hear from you. Let me know down below what you're thinking. We'll talk about it. So, thank you all so much for watching, and we'll see you on the next one.